Hello all, welcome to the new Simply Put series by Kalam IAS Academy. This is Priyanka Mahapatra, faculty at Kalam IAS. So today we'll be having a discussion on the newspaper dated 25th December 2023. So the text and the context section of the Hindu newspaper, we're having two important articles from our exam point of view. That is first about the revised criminal law proposals and the second about the ransomware attacks. So these are the two articles which are important from the UPSC perspective as on 25th December 2023, which are displayed on your screen. So the first article is about the revised criminal law bills and what were the changes implemented, what were the omissions, what were the deletions, and what are the issues concerned with the bills. So recently we got introduced to three bills which replaced the existing British era criminal laws. Okay, so the bills were named as Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita Bill, which replaced the IPC. Then the CRPC of 1973 got replaced by Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita 2023, and the Indian Evidence Act of 1872 got replaced by Bharatiya Sakshya Bill of 2023. So what are the key changes introduced in the bill? So first is regarding suicide. Let's see. First, suicide. So previously, anybody who was attempting to die by suicide, it was a punishable offense. That means anybody who is attempting to die by suicide is a criminal offense under section 309 of the IPC. Okay, but now it has been decriminalized. That means anybody who is attempting to die by suicide will no longer be considered as a criminal offense. So this is the first change we brought. Second is regarding the abatement to suicide. It was already a punishable offense, but now it has been introduced with more stricter terms. That means imprisonment up to 10 years will be there, also along with fine. So the person who is convicted of abatement to suicide, he or she will be in prison for 10 years and also liable to fine. Again, a very important provision has been added this time, that anybody who is attempting to commit suicide in order to trouble any public servant, with the intent to restrain or trouble any public servant from discharging his official duty, he or she will invite punishment. It will be considered as a criminal offense. So the basic idea here is to prevent any kind of hunger strikes that happen during the protest, or to prevent self-immolation during the protest, right? So this is all about the suicide. Then second is regarding the lynching and the hate crimes. So previously IPC did not had any kind of defined provision to deal with the mob lynching and the hate crimes that has been happening very frequently nowadays. So police just registered a case of murder under section 302 of the IPC. Okay, but now we have codified this offense. We have actually defined this offense as whenever a mob of 5 or more individuals they commit murder based on factors like race, caste, community, or personal belief, then it will be called as mob lynching. Again, the minimum punishment for the mob lynching has been enhanced. It has been brought at par with the murder charges. Okay, that means it will invite death penalty now, or life imprisonment based on the severity of the crime. But previously there was no death penalty, but now it has been, the punishment of death penalty will be there if the case is more severe and more serious, right? Then comes the crimes against the women and children. So this time very important that we have introduced the gender neutrality provisions for the offences pertaining to children. That means, for example, in kidnapping cases, before it was 16 years for males and 18 years for female who were considered as minors for kidnapping cases. But now it has been standardized to 18 years for both the genders. That is how we have brought gender neutrality. Okay, so what do you understand by gender neutrality in the first place? So it is about acknowledging that both boys and girls can be victims and offenders. So it is not that only girls can be victims or only boys can be offenders, they cannot be the victims. Okay, so bringing gender neutrality means we are acknowledging that both the genders can be offenders and victims. So here it is basically avoiding any kind of reinforcing of stereotypes in the society and biases associated with the specific genders. And in that way, it is aligning to the human value principles. And it also emphasizes that protection of each and every child is very, very important. We need to protect the rights of every child irrespective of their gender. So this is a very, very important provision that has been added. So to justify gender neutrality, we have brought two provisions. That is, we have standardized the age limit of 18 for both the genders, okay, in case of kidnapping cases, and we have treated the procuration of a girl for illicit intercourse as a gender neutral offense under section 366A of IPC. Okay, then comes the rape of minor girl. Previously, there was lesser punishment, that is imprisonment of 20 years or life imprisonment, but this time we have added death penalty according to the severity of the case. Okay, so this is all about the gender neutrality provisions. Then we come to the sedition. So here offense of sedition has completely been omitted this time, which was a much wanted reform to be made. And now onwards, citizens will have the right to speak against the government. But it is made very, very clear that acts against the nation cannot be tolerated. So the government is saying that yes, citizens, they have the right to speak against the government and it should be protected, but any acts against the nation cannot be tolerated. So therefore, it has penalized the acts which is endangering the unity and integrity of India, and it has replaced the government with the country. Okay, and Rajdroh has been changed to Deshdroh, and the maximum penalty has been changed to 7 years of imprisonment. Previously, it was 3 years in prison or life imprisonment. Okay, so that is how it has brought changes with the sedition charges. Okay, so here it is important to understand that now speaking against the government is not at all a punishable offense, but anything against the nation, it is not a tolerable offense. It is zero tolerance offense. Right. Then we come to the fifth, that is new offenses. So certain new offenses has been added also this time. Okay, in the context of changing social dynamics. So organized crimes, terrorist attacks has been added in the new offense. Previously, it was only dealt with the UAPA, but now the new bill is also dealing with the terrorism acts. Hit and run case, sexual exploitation of women by deceitful means, abatement outside India, very, very important. Acts which is endangering the sovereignty, integrity, and unity of India. The publication of fake news has been addressed here. Okay, another important provision has been added as community service, which is pertaining to the petty organized crime. Okay, that is criminalizing snatching, theft, cheating, unauthorized selling of tickets, unauthorized betting or gambling, selling of public examination question papers. So this is considered as community service, the petty organized crime. These are also been mentioned in the bill, they have been addressed in the bill. Okay, and coming to the definition of the crime of terrorism, we have modified the definition of the crime of terrorism, which is at par with the UAPA now. Okay, so it has been said that any act with intent to threaten or likely to threaten the unity and integrity, security, economic security, or sovereignty of India, or with intent to strike terror or likely to strike terror in the minds of people or any section of people in India or in any foreign country. So the definition has been modified this time with respect to the terrorism. Then comes next, that is unauthorized publication of court proceedings, that is with respect to rape or sexual assault cases. So anybody who is printing or publishing any matter concerning the court proceedings in the rape or sexual assault cases without the permission, he or she is inviting punishment up to 2-year jail sentence and a fine. So this provision has been added just to secure, just to protect the privacy. Okay. Then comes the unnatural sexual offences. So this is dealing with the section 377 of the IPC, which the Supreme Court completely verdicted for the omission of the section 377, and the bill has addressed it with the complete omission. Okay, but there is a issue over here that we'll be discussing in the key issues of the bill next. Then comes adultery. Okay, so it has completely struck down. It has been completely omitted under the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita bill, which the Supreme Court also termed as unconstitutional in 2018. Right? So here also there is an issue we will be discussing in the issues next. Then comes the regressive terminology. Certain terminologies were termed as regressive, that is why they have been replaced. For example, mental illness has been replaced by unsoundness of mind, and intellectual disability has been added. A new term has been added. Okay, so this was all about the provision. So let's now discuss the issues of the bill, which are very, very important from the mains perspective. So first is regarding adultery. So in the current bill, the adultery has been completely decriminalized. That means anybody who is involved in this extramarital affair or adultery will not get punished, neither the man nor the woman. And this is going well with the 2018 Supreme Court judgment, where it unanimously decriminalized adultery. So the basic idea was to end the discriminatory practice upon the woman's autonomy. How? Because the woman's husband was behaving as the master of the woman there. Because if the woman's husband was having the consent, he was giving the consent for the adultery to happen, then the man, the second man involved in the adultery, he was not getting punished, right? And if the woman's husband was not having consent, if it was happening without his knowledge, he was not giving consent in the adultery process, then the second man was getting punished. So it was leaving the woman in the middle, completely victimized, and she was not having any choice and autonomy. Her privacy was not protected. So therefore, the Supreme Court unanimously decriminalized. It did not want any adultery provision to exist in order to protect the woman's privacy and autonomy there. But the parliamentary panel, they said that we should be bringing a gender neutral provision to the adultery process. Now we want to criminalize adultery because we have to protect the institution of marriage. We have to safeguard the institution of marriage, but with a gender neutral provision. That means both the man and the woman involved, they will be punished. Both they will be punished. Before, only the man was getting punished. But here the man and the woman both will get punished. But this recommendation of the parliamentary panel has completely been ignored in the current bill. Again, coming to the section 377. So section 377 has been completely omitted. We celebrated as a very significant step towards recognizing the right and dignity of the LGBTQ community. But think of a situation where man is getting raped by another man. So where he will get his remedy in that case? Because the Indian rape laws, they're very gendered, in the sense that they only see the woman as the victim of sexual assault. They are only focused on protecting women as victims of sexual assault, and they are not addressing the male victims of the sexual assault. And to above all, our traditional rape laws, they are operated on heteronormative assumptions. So what is heteronormative assumption? That means they are presuming that sexual violence would occur with only the heterosexual relationships. Thereby, they are overlooking the marginalized cases involving the same sex relationship. Okay, so here this recommendation of criminalizing of keeping intact the criminalizing of non-consensual sex has been ignored between the men, women, and trans persons. So here it is leaving the men and the transgender persons with no legal remedy against the sexual offenses. So hope you're clear with this. Then the next issue is that how UAPA and BNS will operate concurrently in cases of terrorism. Okay, that means we have already UAPA. You all know that we have already UAPA in cases of terrorism, and it deals with stricter provisions. It has more stringent provisions, and the cases are heard in the special courts. Okay, so here it is unclear now that how both will operate concurrently in cases of terrorism. That needs to be seen. Then another issue with the bill is about the aggravation of the police control, or the police powers have been more wider this time. So here we have a provision that permits the police custody beyond the initial 15 days of arrest, which endangers the civil liberties. That means the people hailing from marginalized backgrounds, they will be now subject to more extreme custodial violence. There is a more possibility that those marginalized background people will be subjected to extreme custodial violence, because the police can now keep them beyond 15 days of arrest, which will be violating their civil liberties. So in this case, CBI versus Anupam J. Kulkarni 1992, it has verdicted to limit the police custody to first 15 days of arrest, and any further remand during investigation beyond these 15 days of arrest can only be in the judicial custody. So this case has been taken to the larger bench now. Okay, and now it has been tried to increase the police custody to beyond 15 days of arrest. Okay, so here it is a issue of endangering civil liberties. Okay, so these were the main issues of the bill. You should be keeping it in your mind while writing the mains answer. Then the next news is about the ransomware attacks that has been happening on the Indian IT firms. So recently HCL, it shared that it was being hit by a ransomware incident in an isolated cloud environment. So this ransomware is very, very important from your GS paper 3 perspective. It has already been asked in the mains examination. What are the types of malware, including ransomware? Okay, so you should be clear about it. So as the name suggests, ransom means anything which is associated with money. So it is a type of malware, okay, where it will lock the victim's data and device, and it will threaten to keep it locked or worse unless the victim pays a certain amount to the attacker. Okay, so it is kind of a blackmail over here that is happening in exchange of money. Okay, so you can see the figure, you can remember this figure. Instead of the key, somebody, the company concerned or the organization concerned, has to give ransom. So there is a data with respect to the ransomware attacks, which says that ransomware attacks, it represents 17% of all the cyber attacks in 2022 by IBM. So these data you should be noting it down whenever you get a question regarding ransomware or malware attacks or the impact on the economy. Okay, and any question on cyber security. Okay, so these data can be very handy for you. Again, there has been 51% increase in the ransomware incidents being reported in 2022. Okay, and the majority of these attacks happening on the data centers and IT sectors in the country. It is according to the CERT report. Then what are the other examples of ransomware? So recently it was on AIMS. An attack happened on AIMS for days where the hackers, they demanded 200 crores in cryptocurrency from the hospital. Then again, Sun Pharma, the drug manufacturer, it was hit by a cyber attack. Again, this example. So these are the recent examples you should be actually writing in the exam in order to fetch those extra marks. Okay, so those examples which are already there in the books, that are outdated, so redundant, but these examples will fetch you more marks. That is why add these examples to your notes right now. Okay, so this was all about today's discussion. Again, the short notes of this video will be provided in our Telegram channel, and the link for joining our Telegram channel will be given to you in the description box. So do join us. Okay, so till then, goodbye, take care, and happy learning.